Siraniki. If you had 24 hours, Kore kasere ni nama bagasi. What is it that you will do? Nare kasere di bagisi namak. So today's messages are around this topic. If you had 24 hours to live, what would you do with that time? Kore sare da bagasere ni nama kasi te baka. And so a lot of us, we really get into our bubble, a human bubble, which is great. It's beautiful, you know, having your own human experience and being in your own presence and then whatever else that happens with it. However, at times, you know, you might forget, we might forget, at times I forget, that there's something bigger happening in the spectrum of our small, tiny bubble, which is not really small, right? But that there's something else happening around it. There's something else speaking through it. There's something else guiding you through it. There's something else connecting you to it. And when that happens, you know, which is a constant thing that happens, honestly, but at those moments when you surrender to that, when you are out of your own human bubble to be in the divine bubble, then this is where what I call magic happens. So the question again is, if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do with it? And for many of us, perhaps we'll let go of resentment. Perhaps we'll let go of resentment if you only had 24 hours to live. Or maybe, you know, forgiveness to yourself, or maybe being more kind to yourself and others. So this week, we're celebrating Earth Day, which one of my teachers says Earth Day is every day, which I totally agree with that. But again, going back into like the bubble, the human experience, sometimes we just get caught up in our own bubble and forget that there's something else outside of it, especially when shit hits the fan, you know, then you are in your own tornado and you're just like, there's nothing else around it, and people can actually give you some advice or something, but it's up to you if you to choose to actually open up the door and exit the tornado, to be into the eye of the storm and witness everything. So like this Friday is Earth Day, and it's also your day, it's also our day. We are part of this amazing organism that at times we forget to take care of it. You know, it drives me insane sometimes when I'm taking my puppy for a walk and there's trash everywhere. The good thing about him is that because he's a puppy, he likes everything that the wind is taking, so he grabs it and then gives it to me and like, okay, let's take it to the trash. But then at times there's even more things than that, you know? Even just not buying locally can be a damage to the earth. But like, so when we zoom out into the scheme of things, you know, like again, you being part of the earth, we being part of the earth, we're not separate. Even with at times it seems like, yeah, this is a human body, and then we might not really see her entire organism. But again, in the space between spaces, in the space between bodies, you know, there's something so magical happening. And again, this is where like we talk about being the alchemy, right? The alchemy space happens there. But also you happen there. You exist through that space. You're there connecting, you're there listening, you're there guiding yourself in the form of the earth. In the form of the earth, which is so fascinating that when we actually surrender, when we actually get out of our own way, we can experience that. And what a beautiful gift is to experience that connectivity with the earth. Like listening, you know, listening not with the ears, but like with your entire being. Listening the space, again, in between spaces, which like, I say this a lot because I love that space. There's so much wisdom that comes through that. And again, that wisdom is you. Like when we take ourselves apart from the organism of the earth, we are creating separation. What more separation do we need to put into this world? So it's just about coming together, you know? It's about celebrating. It's about celebrating not just you, but every single human, even if you don't really know them, you know? And there's like, my heart is expanding so much. I had this amazing trip with my best friends and Missouri, Lake of the Ozarks, and we just had a really great time, and it was a good time for me to reset and pay more attention, get out of again my own little bubble of my human experience, to remember there's something bigger than me, to remember that I came here to do something really important rather than at times suffering or at times going through like my own stuff, you know, because I had chosen to do this work for a reason. And in a way, I really feel that life and earth chose me to do this work, to remember, for all of us to remember. Because then, if one person remembers and doesn't share things, then what good is that going to do to the world? It's about sharing, it's about expanding, it's about community, So the reason why a lot of times the messages that come through about the space in between bodies is because really you get out of your human experience, of your own little bubble. This is what I like to call it, your own little bubble, okay? And then you can actually connect and pay attention to what all these messages that are coming through constantly. So there's energy moving through at all times, even if you believe you don't see it. I actually believe that every single human are able to see it. It's just, getting out of your own way, getting out of what you believe you are, how you can actually see life, how you can actually feel life in order to actually see it and feel it. So as I was walking through the woods, with my best friends and my puppy and their puppy, there were so many messages coming through that honestly at times, I don't know how I was walking, but I actually do, because my puppy at times was like, come on, Mom, we gotta do this, you got it, because I was bombarded with so much information about my reality, and experiencing something bigger through it. The remembrance, that you chose to come here for something bigger than you actually feel and know. And I know that at times, especially my clients, tell me all these things, and I know that most of us, being in this journey, we know we came here for something bigger, that at times we can't even put a word, a speech into it, but then we just go for it. And some people might call you that you're nuts because you're doing something completely out of the ordinary in the family. And you still go because there is that energy inside of you, which is the energy outside that at times you can't even see it. I'm going to put quotation marks because I do have the belief that we all can see this. But at times, maybe with the human vision, you can't really see it. But with your superhuman vision, you actually can. It's that energy that comes as you as a channel to share with the rest of the planet, the rest of the world, your community, whatever it is that you are, how special everybody is, how special you are. And it is those moments, those really challenging moments of life, they really shake you to the core in a way as in wake up, wake up. This is maybe another way to go. Maybe you can move this a little bit. We talked about maybe a couple weeks ago about the painting of your life, that whenever something feels stuck, whenever that you are in this space that you don't even know how to maneuver through it, there is a wake-up call. And life is saying, this piece of the puzzle right here does not make sense with the rest of your painting. So can you relax into it? Meaning, can you get out of your own human experience bubble in order to let life do what it needs to do through you as a channel? So then the entire painting, your painting that is constantly changing, can go back into its flow. We talk about flow a lot of times, right? And what I can really see about it right now is the river. How the river just goes, right? And even if it finds a rock or a stick or something, it doesn't stop. It just goes around it, maybe under it, maybe over it. It just really depends on the current, right? Your strength. How much you trust your journey. How much you trust your journey. And it's that trust that allows the current to be very strong, and you go with it. Even if people tell you that that's the weirdest, more craziest thing that they could even hear, it doesn't even matter because it's not their experience, it's your experience. So in this experience, you get to choose. You get to choose how you see yourself. You get to choose how you see others. You get to choose how you feel about yourself. You get to choose how to love yourself. You get to choose how you see this experience. You know how powerful that is? I mean, when those things hit me once, I was like, holy shit. We get to choose. You get to choose how you experience this. And it's up to you because you are the architect of this life. It is literally, your life is your masterpiece. And you get to choose, right? It's just like all these conditions. Again, we get into our personal bubble and then we forget that we have a choice. You might forget that you have a choice. And that is like feeling, worthless and whatever it is, right? All the conditions of the collective, all the conditions of your life, whatever, right? But it's not just like to punish you. Literally, a lot of times when those things happen is because like you're about to cross over like a major threshold, or you might even just be there, with one foot in there, and then all these things are coming out saying like, really? Do you really think that you can actually create the life of your dreams? And all you can say is like, fuck yeah, I can. Of course you can. You have the strength within you because you chose it. We have to remember that this experience is all about growth, right? Again, you can go against the current, meaning that when all these things come up to the surface, you can just choose to ignore it. You can choose to be in your, your personal bubble or your protective self or around your walls and whatever. Or you can trust that the most painful moments are actually redesigning your beautiful painting. That those painful moments are actually there with some kind of teaching. And maybe the teaching has nothing to do with your own personal experience in some kind of way. Maybe the teaching has to do with your ancestors, cutting up those cycles. You having the strength, the courage to do that. And as part of the journey, as part of really like our experiences that we chose to come into a family lineage, to cut some ties, to cut some circles, to start new cycles, new beautiful cycles that will allow the consciousness of the earth to rise. The consciousness of the earth to rise. Because a lot of us had forgotten. There is still so many people out there, they have forgotten about their power. And there's so much going on in the world. There is so much going on. We can't really deny that. I mean, we see that everywhere, even if you don't really watch the news. I don't watch the news. And it's still felt really deeply in our systems because we're not separate. When we tune in that in-between space, we can feel the pain of every single brother and sister out there. We can feel the pain of the trees. They are just cut without really being honored, I mean, our ancestors back in the day, they did a ceremony and the trees actually choose them, they said like, I volunteer to be your tipi, I volunteer to be your home. And they celebrated that. It was a ceremony. And what happens nowadays? I mean, I'm sure there's still in some parts of the world, depending on the indigenous people that might do that. But most completely asleep when they cut the trees. They don't even honor the wisdom of those ancestors. But so like in this life, you get to choose. Maybe in this life, you get to choose to remember. And maybe in this life, you get to choose to be the greatest mom ever. Maybe in this life, you get to choose to be the greatest version of yourself. But it's all about you. And it's all about that particular, in a way, we can call it title, or sentence. That you get to choose what sentence that is. That really redefines your own painting, your own masterpiece, the painting of your life. So like really sit with that and feel it. Like, what is it? How do you want this life to be? And then from there, just put it there on your sticky note and allow life, whatever you call it, universe, God, who knows, goddess, even Buddha, to guide you into those spaces. And know when you're like growing, whatever it is that is not matching the vibration that you're going towards to, it must shed. You must integrate it. And those must be, might be those like moments where it's just like, why is this happening? This is way too much. Let me have a time out, right? But again, if you had 24 hours to live, would you actually have a timeout? Or will you just enjoy it, just be into like, wow, maybe in 24 hours I won't even feel pain. I won't even know what that is like. Or maybe joy, or maybe you just will have the greatest moment with yourself, just being so honest, just saying, no, I don't really like this way that I've been leading my life, so I'll take these hours to do the best. There is like one of the friends of my boyfriend. He was living in Germany. He chose to go back to the Ukraine because his family is there, and he's in a humanitarian project that he's doing. But in reality, his family, it's in a place where nobody can come in or out. And he is figuring out a way how to get his family out. And like, that unconditional love and the courage from love for you to do something like that, that's what he chose to do in his own masterpiece in painting. He chose to do that out of love for his family. And even though, he's engaged and he has his girlfriend in Germany. And then the courage and love of the girlfriend to be like, I support you. This is the thing, support you. I support you. I might not freaking understand why you're doing it, but I support you because I love you and I see you. How many of us have forgotten about that kind of support? And then unconditional love. To just be like, okay, you're on your own being. You have your own freedom. And I love that about you. And whatever it is that you choose that is for the greatest good of you and others, I support. Sometimes, the human bubble, again, we get into our bubble and just we're like, yeah, this is how we do things. And we're trying to change people's ways of living. And how much good does that do to them? Maybe that suppresses, maybe that brings up like resentment in their system. Who knows, right? But like when you love somebody unconditionally, you let them be. You might even let them go, to see if they come back in the form of maybe relationship, right? But we never really lose anybody. It's just like unconditioned. This is a really beautiful illusion that I like to see it anyway in life. It's a really beautiful illusion of the mind because we don't lose anybody. Even those people, the people that were very close to you, right? That they're not having a human experience like you are anymore. They're still alive and the energy is still there. Again, in the space between bodies, in the space between like physical objects, they're there. And we can tune into that anytime with desire. Anytime with desire. Just how the trees talk. And it's all about getting out of your personal bubble, to be in the bubble, to listen, to remember, to witness you, to remember you, to remember your own way of communicating, our way of communicating, to really pay attention to everything that is coming through. And it's a really beautiful space to be in, so I don't really believe that one human has just one potential that anybody else doesn't. That has never been my belief. I really believe that we all have the ability to do anything that we really want, including seeing the energy, including tapping into the energy fields of like those that are no longer here, having a human experience. I really do. It might not come through like it might come through me, for example, but it does come through in a way that you can actually listen and pay attention, because your loved ones actually know how you pay attention because they really know you, and so they send the messages that way, just like you send the messages out there to them. When you collapse on your knees for guidance and you stop fighting in your human bubble, that's when the doors really open up. And everything else is, at your feet and around you, which has already been there anyway. But because again, in this beautiful like human bubble that we just like put ourselves in, especially when struggling, it's like you're putting walls around and you can't really see what's around you. Like at times we can't really see who is in our faces, meaning who you're living with, who you're spending your life with. At times we condition ourselves so much, or maybe, we have been conditioned by our family, by the collective, whatever, by stories in the head, that we miss and we don't really see who is in front of us, including you. How many times do you admire yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, like, what an amazing being you are? And I'm not just talking about physically, just literally the core of your being, like how amazing you are and everything that you went through, yet you're still here and yet you're still doing your work. In whichever way it comes, you're still sharing, you're still loving yourself. Or maybe you are remembering to love yourself. How many of us actually do that? I mean, I do it all the time, honestly. And that's because, I have a really long history of like depression, anxiety, and suicidal tendencies, But a lot of people just don't even want to look at themselves in the mirror. And I feel for that because I've been there myself. I didn't want to look like this, but I have chosen to look like this for a reason, just like you have chosen, And the most beautiful thing about this amazing physical body, honestly, the miracle of the physical body, or one of the miracles, is that you are here because of every single ancestor in your lineage. You wouldn't look the way that you look if one was different. If you will just swap one with somebody else's family, you wouldn't look the way that you do had it not been for every single person in your lineage. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. So like you might have features of your grandma or your great grandpa, or like who knows, So that is a living representation of them here too, that they're not forgotten, and that specific physical body of theirs might not be here, but you are here through them and because of them. Hi, Peter. And so what a beautiful way of honoring your lineage, including yourself, by loving you and honoring you. And just by taking the time to get to know yourself, especially those things that are very scary, because we tend to shy away from them. We tend to just like, you just stay this way. I'm just going to be here comfy, okay? Yeah, there's no growth in staying comfortable. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable either, Like, of course, like there's, if you don't have a home, if you don't have like food to eat, like, that's definitely a struggle, right? But we're talking about here, like the experience of yourself. To get out of your box, to get out of your like human bubble that is precious, it's so precious, Because without that bubble, how would you really know like other things, right? Just like without suffering, how would you know joy? So like there is like those two sides of the coins in a way, that allow you to have this beautiful experience and to love it. I mean, I love this experience way more than I can express with words. And I've definitely gone through like really hard moments in my life. And those hard moments are the ones that I totally love the most because they show me something very special. So all those things in your life, especially right now, if you're going through like really hard and difficult moments in your life, they're there for you. They're there for you. Oh, yay, Amildi. Yeah, they're there for you for a reason, and it's just like your system, the intelligence of your system that honestly, you guys, it like totally blows me away. The intelligence of your system that just rises up and lets you know like, okay, this thing is not vibrating anymore. Can we just like integrate it, let it go? Remember where you want to be, right? Remember those high vibrations that are coming through and they're rooting in your system where they need space, right? So like when we are in the experience of the human bubble, right, and you can't really see anything out of there, remember the intelligence of your system. Remember the support of everything that comes through you as a portal, and like life having your back for you to really root those codes that are coming in, making space for the new you, the new version of yourself, because you're constantly moving the puzzle of your life, constantly redesigning it, if you want to redesign it, or maybe just one tiny little corner you're just moving around because I really love this part, but it just doesn't resonate with me anymore. Because we're in constant change, we're in constant move, right? We're in constant move, you're in constant move. So in this week, honor yourself. Honor yourself, honor the earth, honor all your brothers and sisters, like honor life. And the life that comes through you, really the life that comes through you. In their own expression, their own beautiful expression, your life itself, in a unique expression that nobody else can have. Life cannot express itself through me as it does through you, because we have different experiences. But one is not better than the other one. They're just beautiful as they are. They're just unique. So celebrate that. Celebrate that. If you don't even know how to even celebrate anything about Earth Day or whatever, it doesn't even matter. You celebrating you is celebrating Earth. You honoring that connection between you and Earth, between you and other humans, between you and other beings is celebrating Earth. Because Earth is all of us. It's not like, okay, this tiny part is the Earth, or maybe just the trees are the Earth. No, we are it. We are it. You are it. So this week is about celebration. Like the biggest thing that came today as I was walking my puppy was like this immense unconditional love that I felt like my chest was gonna like burst out. So it's about celebration. Celebrating you and loving you. And from there, see what comes. From there, see what comes, It's not doing something to expect something in return, but it's just doing it for the sake of doing it because you want to do it, because you love to do it, And I know, for example, Mildy is about to go meet her bestie and have fun, So just like have that be the moment of celebration, If you are catching up with an old friend or you're catching up with yourself, you guys, okay, here's this message, okay? How many times do you give yourself a chance to catch up with yourself, right? Do you take yourself out on a date? This is what I love about, oh my gosh, what is this workbook called? The Artist Way. That you have like a date with yourself every single week for 12 weeks, And it's just like, how many of you actually catch up with yourself, As in just making space for you, whether it is making a cup of tea or whether it is just making your food really consciously and in silence, or like, who knows, without being on the phone or whatever it is, any other distractions. Like, do you catch up with yourself like you catch up with your best friends? Do you catch up with your physical bodies and how you're doing today? Oh, maybe we need more water, or maybe we need less exercise, or maybe we need a little bit of more yoga. Maybe, how about we meditate more today? It takes that too, because that is the most important relationship in your life. The relationship with you. And it's something that at times you have forgotten, But like, it's a remembrance, you guys. It's a remembrance. Remembering that you are so important. Remembering that you can also catch up with yourself. You can also take yourself out on dates. You can also love yourself like you love everybody else. That is celebrating Earth Day. That is celebrating Earth Day. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't really take care of her either. If you don't love yourself and you don't honor yourself, like, how can you take care of others and love others? You will love them at the same level, right? Maybe in a way, some kind of artificial level or superficial level. But I really believe that you do have it in you to love yourself even more than you believe you can. Just like all of us. Loving yourself like the earth loves us. No conditions, right? You plant a seed, how many fruits come out of that tree? And how long does a tree stand? The same thing with herbs, You take care of that, it will be there with you almost like forever. If you take care of yourself, what a change. What a change. And this is something like coming in so strongly, because that is the way of celebrating Earth Day. By celebrating you. By celebrating you. Celebrate you every single day. Celebrate you every single day. Sit with yourself, you know? If it's like, you know what I'm seeing right now, if it's like really difficult just to sit and close your eyes, right? I mean, it happened to me too. It was very difficult in the beginning to start meditating and just be in stillness, because I was like constantly in the go. I have so much fire in me, so I definitely had to like work on that. But, you know, make yourself a cup of tea or something, some hot chocolate or some cacao, whatever, and then maybe make another cup and just put it in front of you and begin to talk. You know, imagine that a version of yourself is there. Maybe it's the highest version of yourself, or maybe, you know, it's an like younger version of yourself, and you're just having the conversation. Maybe it's just you, you know, and you're having that talk, and then you are connecting, and then see where that goes. Talk out loud like you would talk with friends. I talk to myself out loud all the time. All the time. I mean, I talk out loud to like a lot of things, but, you know, connect. Connect in that way. If it's really challenging for you to just be in stillness and connect that way, you know, but just connect and celebrate you and take that time, right? Like, even write it in your calendar. Like, maybe you will write like you were seeing your best friend one day, right? Because you are important. Like, you are important. Like, literally what I'm seeing this message is in like ginormous caps and like exclamation points. Put all the emojis that you want in it. You are important. And by you being important, by you taking care of yourself, by you honoring yourself, by you loving yourself and all that kind of stuff, you are taking care of the earth, you're taking care of all of us. Yeah? It is whenever that we don't honor ourselves, whenever we're nasty to ourselves, that we are feeding that separation illusion, you know? We don't need more of that. We don't need more of that. I mean, this experience has a lot of that nowadays, okay? What we need more of that is you. This is what we need more of. What we need more of that is you. We need more of you. As in you shining, you being you, you know, you being your silly self, or maybe your grumpy self at that times that comes, like you just being you, raw and perfect as you are. Because nobody else is like you. And you being in your truth, and you saying no, or you saying yes, or you saying like maybe later, whatever it is, you know, that's what we need more of. We need more of you. Just being in your power, in your truth, like raw and pure as you have always been. That is what this planet needs more of. You. Just you. Plain and simple. You, right? We make it so freaking difficult, you guys. We make it so freaking difficult because maybe we have to look this way, or maybe we have to speak this way, or maybe we have to like dress this way. And like who came up with all that shit? Who came up with all of that? It doesn't even matter how you speak or how you dress. What it matters is you're being you. And that's really what it matters. You being you. And just shining how you are. You know? You. That's it. That's it. That is what we need at this moment in time. That is the revolution of consciousness. That is the shift in consciousness. That is like raising the vibrations and just coming back into you, remembering you. Remembering that you have a way of expressing life, and that's okay. Just like everybody else does, like I do, like my puppy does, and whatever, you know? You are a unique expression of life itself. And when you block that, you're saying no to the most divine part of life. You're saying no to the most divine part of life when you block that. When you believe that you should look or do or say something else that you don't even want to do it. When you go against yourself. And now that is what creates separation in your being. That's what creates sadness. That's what creates resentment, you know? Yeah, somebody might in a way activate that in you, but it's you the one that chose to feel it. It's you the one that chose to like do a particular thing. And maybe in some kind of severe situations, yeah, like people are actually, they must do that, okay? But in daily activities of your life, you have the choice. There's so much energy that like my eyes feel foggy. And I just feel it right here, like wrum, wrum, wrum. But you have the choice, You have the choice. Simple and simple. And let's not make this so complicated, because it really is not. As humans, we're so good at complicating things, and things don't need to be complicated. You might be a complicated being in the way of like how the energy moves and all these things, but you are plain and simple and beautiful and raw and perfect. Just the way that you are, the way that you express yourself, the way that you don't express yourself, That's just you, It's almost kind of like telling an apple tree to be an orange tree because you want oranges, like it's probably gonna be like, what do you mean? I'm an apple tree, okay? So it's like very similar with you. You can't really be anybody else because you're you. And that is the power in you. That is your power. That is your remembrance. Just being yourself. You be yourself, and then everything shifts us, and all your gifts come through. All your gifts come through, and the way that you express come through, and then there is no more apologies for being you. That's just so silly. There's no more apologies for being you, because you are in your power. When you are being yourself, you are in your power. When you are in your power, you're not longer in that just bubble of human experience, but you are on the bubble of the experience, the universal bubble, the bubble of life, if you will. And through that, everything comes through. And through that, you listen to the messages of the wind. And through that, you can hear the trees. And through that, you can see all the energies. Like, that is your power. Your power is being you. Your power is being you. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So the messages right now, it's just like, holy smokes, you guys. It's just like, okay, you are it. That's it, That's it. You are it. So in those moments that you like find the mind just activating, just saying like, oh, you can't do this because people are gonna like make fun of you or whatever, like those are the moments to be you, because again, you're going against like all those conditions and all those stories that like told you many times, like you can be yourself. Like, guess what? Like, people don't want us to be ourselves, because that way, if you are not yourself, it's so much easier to control you. It's so much easier to like put more stories in your head, for you to be less powerful, or to have the illusion that you're less powerful. But when you're being yourself, and nobody can control you, and your energetic fields, and everything about you. So there's no way anybody can actually control you unless you give them the power to. If you are being you, that is the power in life. You being yourself. You being yourself. And through all this experience, through all those hardships, through all those things that come up and they're so challenging, that's what you're doing. You're being you. You're remembering yourself, and you're going back into like all your gifts and just what it feels like to be you, what it feels like the life force energy come through and have this amazing experience through this human body, and to see everybody as like brothers and sisters. They're waking up, they're remembering to be themselves. You are the power of life. You are the power of life. Just being you. And that is your power, see? You are the power of life, and being you is your power. That's your power. That's the greatest gift that you can ever remember. You being you. That's the power of life, and that's your power. You being you. That's your gift. So remember that every time that you're struggling. Because every time that you're struggling, you're remembering. Every time that you're struggling, you are integrating different things. You're shedding layers, like you're going back into the beautiful crystal that you are. You're remembering. All the layers of the collective are just like, and then you're going in and in and in. And you remember you. You remember your voice. You remember your gifts. You remember you. That's it. That's it. So have a cup of tea with yourself, okay? Or whatever it is, maybe you would drink coffee and that's your thing. Have a cup of coffee with yourself. Like, go on a walk with yourself and celebrate that connection. That connection is a connection that will help you remember even more. The connection with yourself. And through that connection is that you remember all the languages of life, including your own personal language. That is your own power. The power of life is you, and you are your own power. Wow. Wow. Wow, you guys. Okay. There's so much coming through right now. Like, well, surely give me some hearts if you feel it in your heart, because my heart is like, at times we must remember that, At times we forget that. At times I forget that. I'm still human. I'm still having a human experience. I still have my own human bubble. However, again, it's all about the vision that we have in our life, right? Your vision is ginormous. Nothing can stop you. There's no one that can stop you remembering you. No one. Only yourself, right? Only yourself. And at times we do a pretty good job of that. But you choose it and you'll be guided. No matter what. No matter what. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So again, remember, the power of life is you. It's you. And you are you in power. I'm going to leave it at that. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. May you continue to be blessed. May you celebrate yourself. May you have so many dates with yourself. So many dates with others too. So then you can see that beautiful reflection that you are. So much love and many blessings.